I have generalized anxiety. Like I'm extremely nervous person in general, yet I push myself extremely hard. So yeah. Because I saw in your book that you're an introvert.
Oh,
So
totally,
yeah,
totally.
so what the fuck is that like? Like doing porn, which is for I think for a lot of people would, in theory, perhaps somebody would have the perception that you have to be this kind of hedonistic extrovert, So yeah,
Not
so
at
like what?
all. Not
Yeah,
at
so
all.
how was that experience for you?
I mean, for me, it was easy because, it was one of the things like I started learning and things that I teach my clients and stuff like really sort of compartmentalizing different things, right? Even if we were to think about, I like to use the hockey analogy often. Like you think about goaltenders, right? Like goaltenders in
Yeah,
hockey, like that's the hardest job in hockey because
it
it's all
is.
on you.
I was a goalie for a couple seasons. I grew up playing ice hockey, and like I was a center for most of my playing career. But goaltending was a pain in the ass. Also, the mental game. Jesus Christ! Like the entire game is riding on you. It's hard.
And
It's
that's what I'm
hard.
talking about. But
Yeah,
you look at those, the top of the top goalies. I mean, they get scored on and they just pretend it didn't happen. Like they just park
yeah,
it. Like, yeah, okay, next, right?
yeah.
And so for me, even when it was, you're thinking about sexuality, and it's like, okay, we're gonna get out there. It's just like, well, okay, how do I park everything? Like, how do I park all the people around? How do I park whether the girl likes me, whether she doesn't? Like, how do you just park everything that's going on and just laser focus on, okay, well, what do I have to do right now, right?
Hmm.
And that's it. And so for me, it was in some ways it was perfect being an introvert because I didn't need to talk to a whole bunch of people, right? And I was at least I'm extroverted enough that I can turn it on when I need to, but it's for a finite amount of period. Like,
Hmm.
people used to joke, they're like, "Man, we never see you at parties. Like, you don't go to parties." I'm like, "Why would I?" Right? Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah. You're tapped
it's
out by it and all that
yeah,
stuff.
it's
Yeah,
too draining to be at a party for more than like an hour at best for me, right?
yeah.
It's not my cup of tea.
I mean, I'm an extrovert. I'm a fairly introverted extrovert, but I'm still an extrovert. But yeah, I mean, it's like unless I know a bunch of people there, then that's fine because it's hanging out with friends at that point. But yeah, so that's why I've never really enjoyed networking events. You know, like I used to go to conferences out in Vegas, stuff like that. Same thing for you, I'm sure. And it's
Mhm.
just like I don't know. If I could get a small group of people and you become friends, it's like that's one thing. But I'm always just like, can we just go to a bar and just get a drink and just shoot the shit? Just me and them or like one other person. It's like that I excel at. But just being around a group of 50 other people, I'm just like, it's too much noise. Like you can't focus. Like the whole thing that I like about it is that depth, being able to really understand somebody, and you can't. I think some people can perhaps, but I don't know. It's just never really been my thing. Um, so in your book, you talk about like getting into porn and like being just overwhelmingly excited about the opportunity to do it. Like it's just being like like for people that grow up and want to be astronauts, like getting a job at NASA or something. That's kind of the vibe that I got.
Oh yeah.
As an introvert, uh, is if you were a kid or something, maybe not a kid, but if you were younger, like is that something that would have popped in your mind? Like if somebody went back to 15-year-old you and been like, hey, you're gonna be a porn star one day, would that be a shock or would that be like, oh, cool? Like how do you think your perception would have been?
It would have been a mixture of both. It would have been, wow, that's going to be cool, and then it would have been utter shock.
Yeah,
I mean, because even for all the people I grew up with, it was a shock, right?
yeah,
I mean, it's like you fast forward all the years, and you get the girls from high school that hit you up and are like, "Oh my god, I didn't know the quietest guy in the back of the class had the biggest dick." It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
it's just like, well, I mean, the two don't go hand in hand,
yeah,
but
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it definitely would have been something like if I look back at the 15-year-old version of me, it would have been shocked. But I think also the shock would have been that throughout this whole process, for me, it was really coming to terms that anything's possible,
okay,
right? Because especially growing up in Canada where I did, and then growing up in the family that I did, because I don't have a family of entrepreneurs, right? Like I am the first one ever to come out of our
Yeah, yeah,
family.
yeah. So you didn't have a
So
model.
yeah, there's no modeling, and in their perspective, nothing's possible.